This is Mrs. Day, giving you a brief introduction of how we do bar models. Now, bar models are just a method that we use in order to let kids understand or help kids to understand word problems a little bit easier. Let me give you an example. Our word problem up here says, I have 250 cats. I adopt 173 more. Miss Day needs to get a life. How many do I have now? The way that I teach students is always start with the information that you know. I'm going to look for the very first piece of information in here. I have 250 cats. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to make a bar model to show that information. I'm not going to go move on with the problem until I get that first bar model done. Now, I could draw little dots to represent 250, but that would take a large amount of time. Rather than showing 250 here, I use a bar like this. And I say, this is going to represent the number 250. And I write it up above, 250. Now, have I gotten that information? I have 250 cats. My bar is representing 250 cats. Now I can move on. I adopt 173 more. Well, now I have to have another bar model that shows me the cats that I just adopted. So again, I'm going to use a bar, and I'm going to say that bar is going to represent 173. So I've taken care of that piece of information. I've adopted 173 more. How many do I have now? So the question is, how many do I have total? If I had 250 and I adopted 173, what I tell students is, well, that's two parts. In math, when we're looking at two parts, if I add those parts together, I get a whole. I also show kids that, well, this part is yellow and this part is blue, and yellow and blue together make what color? It's going to make green. These are the cats that I had. This is the cats that I just adopted. And if I were to blend those two together, this would be the cats I have now. Cats I have now. So in order for me to do that, I'm going to have to add those two together. 250 plus 173. 0 plus 3 is 3. 5 plus 7 is 12. My 2 goes here. My 1 gets carried over. 1 plus 2 is 3. Plus 1 is 4. And now we have our answer. This is going to represent 423. So, very simple bar model. Now we get into a little bit more complex bar models on the other side. Now, this one's going to be just a little bit different. It's a little bit more complex, but it's the same idea, taking the information from the word problem and showing it in a way that makes it obvious whether we need to add or we need to subtract. The information we have up here says, I have 463 black cats. I'm going to stop right there, and I'm going to take that information and I want to show it as a bar model. I'm going to use this. I'm going to say this represents my black cats. And how many black cats do I have? I have 463. Now I can move on to my next piece of information. I have 98 fewer black cats than white cats. Now, that's our next piece of information. And I want to make a bar model to show the white cats, but I have a problem right now. The bar model is going to help me to see whether I have more black cats or white cats, and I still haven't figured that out yet. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover up this piece right here that says 98. I'm going to ignore it for a second, and I'm going to see if I can figure out whether I have more white cats or whether I have less white cats. So let's read. I have fewer black cats than white. Oh, I have fewer black cats. That means that this bar model needs to be smaller. So that means I actually have more white cats than I have black. So I'm going to use a longer bar model to show that. Now our next piece of information says, how many white cats do I have? Now I need to figure out, well, okay, I know I have fewer black cats than white cats, and this is how many fewer I have, right? Because that's how many fewer, or how smaller it is than the white cats. Now I got to come back up here, and I need to look at this information. How many fewer black cats do I have? I have 98 fewer black cats. So now if I'm looking at this, I can tell which one is my whole. Remember, if it's addition, it's going to be part plus part equals whole. In order for this number to be bigger, I'm going to have to go ahead and add the number of black cats I have and also the 98 fewer. In this case, that's going to be addition, 463 plus 98. 8 plus 3 is 11. I put my 1 over here, carry the 1. 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 plus 9 is 16. I put my 6 down here, I carry my 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. Now, this could change. This could change, and I'll show you how it would be looking a little bit different. Let's say, for example, rather than fewer black cats, I have more black cats. I'm going to start my bar model the exact same way. I'm going to erase all this and start over. First thing I do, look at the very first piece of information. I have 463 black cats. I'm going to draw a bar model to show my black cats. There's my bar model. That shows me black cats. And the number it shows is 463. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to look up here. I'm going to cover up that number so I can see if I can figure out whether I have more black cats or fewer black cats. This says I have more black cats than white. Oh, I have more black cats. So when I draw my bar model, I'm going to have to make sure that my white cats are going to be fewer. It's smaller. Now I got to look at, well, how am I going to figure out the other part to this? Now we go back to the information. How many more black cats do I have? I have 98 more black cats. This part here shows me how many more black cats I have. That's going to be 98. Now, in this case, we have a part here and we have a part here, but we don't know what that part is. That's what we're trying to solve for. How many white cats do I have? But students know that when part plus part is equal to whole, in the case of subtraction, if we have a whole and we take away a part, we can solve for that other part. Here's my whole, 463, and if I subtract 98, then I'm going to find out my answer. In this case, 3 minus 8, I can't do it. I'm going to have to borrow. 13 minus 8 is equal to 5. 5 minus 9, can't do that. Going to have to borrow. 15 minus 9 is equal to 6, and then 3 minus nothing is going to be equal to 3. So in this case, in the case where I had more black cats, this was going to be my whole, because whole equals part plus part. If I put these two together, I'm going to wind up with this part right here. Over on my other example, we have 250 and we have 173. Part I had to begin with, part I adopted, I add them together, and I make that whole. So that's our lesson on bar models. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. My email address is kday@plattcanyon, S as in Sam, D as in David 1.org. Thanks a lot for watching. Good luck.